Hey everybody, it's Dr. Haunts. I know it's been a long time, but I'm very honored to be back with a very special guest and the owner of not just the most active ghost tour I've ever been on, but also the most entertaining, and that is Jan Andrew Henderson. Thank you for being here, Jan.
Thank you very much indeed for having me.
So, Jan, you're from Scotland, and you're the author of about 40 or more books.
Yeah, yeah.
I got a couple copies of your ghost stories here. I got them from the Bothy. I'll put a link in so people can find
Thank
your
you.
books. And one thing, just to preface all of this, um, I went to Scotland for the first time in June of 2022, and it started because a friend was like, "Hey, you want to go to Scotland on a trip?" And this is all kind of towards the end of COVID and all the restrictions and things like that. And I just was like, I wanted to go hike the mountains of Switzerland or something. And I was like, I didn't really know I had gone to London, twice, and I really didn't like it. And I just thought Scotland was going to be like that. I didn't really know much about it. Um, but the way he hooked me is he said, well, it's one of the most haunted places in the world. And I said, okay, well, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, it's like Edinburgh is basically the whole place is haunted. And he's like, and there's haunted castles everywhere you go. I was like, okay, let's go to Scotland. So that is what hooked me to go to Scotland in the first place. And my very first night in Edinburgh, um, I literally saw a shadow walk across the wall in my room, and I'm just like, okay, this is something's going on. And that was at the Courtyard Marriott in the just by St. James. And I was just thinking, okay, there's something about this place that is different. I could feel it. I've had paranormal experiences in the past, and I never felt so much activity in one location. And then that brings me to discovering your tour because I was like, okay, we got to do some tours while we're here. I don't remember the first company we went with, but they took us to a different section of the vaults, and I mean the vaults is really creepy. I had previously sent you some photos of some bites and stuff I got
Yeah.
from the yeah. Um, but I wanted to experience it was great, but I was like, there's gotta be more to it. And then we found City of the Dead Tours, which you're the owner of. And I was watching the video about the Mackenzie poltergeist and I said, okay, this is the one we need to go on. And basically after the tour, I mean the whole thing was the history storytelling was incredible. The guide was really entertaining. The Black Mausoleum is the highlight, and I think a lot of people would probably say the same thing. Um, the feeling you get inside that space is unmistakable. And I remember that every guide since I think I've been on the tour like 12 times now, uh, had experiences every time. The um, the guide said they can only keep us there for so long because so many people have fainted. And basically, there's a whole story which I'll let you get into. Um, but the key point I wanted to say is at the end of the tour, when we went back to our Airbnb and we decided to watch Braveheart because he never saw Braveheart and he wanted to see it because we're in Scotland. I'm like, it's Hollywood, but it's okay, whatever. So we watched Braveheart and and basically, while we're midway watching it, we're in a two-bedroom or three-bedroom, I forget. We booked something on Airbnb, um, and we weren't too far away from Greyfriars Kirkyard. All of a sudden, there's super loud bangs on the door inside, not from the outside, from the inside of the house. And I'm just like, "You heard that, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then bang, bang, and the door just kicks wide open. There's visually nothing there. We not all the time. Not we can't always see things. Some people can see things. I've seen things, but it's hit or miss. And you just feel this presence, and I'm just like, close the door. Play any prayer on YouTube. just just get this out of here. I don't want to not be able to sleep. So, close the door. Same thing. It just burst open the door again. You just it's wild. And well, he had his nightcap. We're in Scotland, so obviously so many options of scotch. And I'm just I have all the lights on. I'm not going to turn this off. I can't sleep. And then finally I'm just so exhausted. It's like 4:30 in the morning. I'm like I need to go to sleep. I go to sleep and God, it was just I don't actually know what happened. I put a device to record and I was just it picked up everything from a group of people whispering to just a louder disembodied sounds to then I couldn't sleep at all. I just kept getting woken up and just hearing people gasping for air. Obviously just before in the tour they're told that a lot of people got buried alive and obviously basically suffocated to death or whatnot there in the kirkyard. And I felt like I got a full dose of what was going on there. But the biggest thing was you know every tour um uh, anyone I'd been on the tour with, at least one of us, sometimes all of us, get these unexplainable. I can't even really call them bites because they feel like burns, you know. And it is just it's and if you want to experience the paranormal, you need to go on it. Period. If you think you don't have it happen to you while you're there, it's gonna show up after, whether it shows up more bluntly like it has for me in the past, or whether all of a sudden you discover these marks on you that you just kind of can't explain. And I don't know how to explain it. These things are from some other realm or dimension, and somehow it interacts with us, and it's wild. So I'm gonna pass it off to you now, Jan. How did you get into this?
I got into it completely by mistake. I really did. Uh, because I started off doing ghost tours because I was actually sitting in a bar and two guys were standing next to me and they'd started a ghost tour and they were talking to each other and they'd been having a good time and they said, we're going to have to hire someone because we're getting so busy. And I was sitting next to them and I was like, excuse me,
Yeah.
I could do that. But then I would say that for any job because in those days I just drifted from place to place. So I was like, I could be a ghost tour guide, and they made me a ghost tour guide. I was going into the vaults
Mm,
because they just opened at that time.
yeah.
Um, and then one day, I got talking to, I don't know if you know what a beadle is. It's like a caretaker, if you like, and it was the
Okay.
beadle at Greyfriars Church.
Hmm.
Um, I got talking to him because I'd been going, I was just sitting in there. It was a nice place to have lunch. And he started to tell me all these stories about Greyfriars, and they were astonishing. Um, and he said, they always had this sort of strange atmosphere about it. I mean, he's a guy from the church, so you wouldn't think he'd be talking about this kind of thing. But he was. He's like, yeah, it's got a real kind of weird vibe about it. And just in the last couple of months, there have been all sorts of things happening in here. People are getting knocked down, they're getting cut, they're getting scratched. Ever since then, someone broke into the George Mackenzie's tomb. This has
Yeah.
happened. And being Scottish, I was like, okay, can I make money out of this? so, so I quit my job with the other tour company. I started my own tours and going into Greyfriars Graveyard. And the polar guy seems to be whatever it is, sort of a very reactive thing because as soon as we started taking people up to George Mackenzie's tomb and showing it to them, it moved. It moved into the place called the Covenanters Prison. So we asked Edinburgh Council for the key. They said, why? And I said, we'll give you money. And they said,
Yeah.
they're Scottish as well. They went, okay. So they gave us the key and we realised that was where it sort of, if you like, made its lair. And we began taking people in and almost immediately things started happening to them. And it went from being a bit of a lark, make some money and have a bit of fun, to a situation where we really started going, oh my God, we got something here. We don't know what it is, but it's real. Yeah.
Yeah.